surprising episode of Raw that just aired on July 6th, this past Monday. But before we get to that, I just wanted to say thank you to everyone for watching, and especially my first two subscribers. I was surprised to check my channel and see that I had one subscriber, and then just today I looked and there was a second one. And it was nice to see that, I'm not getting a lot of views at all by any means. But it was nice to see that the people who were watching felt like it was worth their time to subscribe to the channel. So thank you guys. I've been watching ASMR for like over a decade at this point. Probably like 12 years ago I started watching ASMR. I was watching when Heather Feather actually uploaded consistently. If you guys know who that is, one of the OG ASMR YouTubers. And while ASMR has gotten a lot more mainstream in recent times, even if it's not these kinds of videos, but like visual ASMR is popping off on TikTok, so people are more familiar with ASMR than ever before. But even with that, there's a big difference between watching it and making these videos whispering in front of a microphone. So I have not told anybody that I know that I have this channel. So while I maybe could have started out, if I, told friends and family, could have started out with a few subscribers. I have not told anyone I know about this channel, so those first two subscribers, I felt like, they were just genuine subscribers that I, was able to convince, I guess, for lack of a better term. So yeah, that felt pretty good. And I appreciate you guys. But let's get into the show because I am going to be going on a trip, leaving in like 6 hours. And I'm not driving, I'm in a carpool. So it's not like necessary that I get this sleep. Like at least from a safety perspective, I would like to have some sleep so that the first night there, I'm not like completely dead and I could start out on a good note for this break. So I'm gonna go as fast as I can through this, just because this is one of my longer notes. I'm not sure how it's one of my longer notes because thinking back, all I really can remember in vivid detail is the main event. So I'm not sure how this ended up being such a long notes, but we're gonna go as fast as we can through this. So here we go. Without further ado, obviously it's gonna start with Sami Zayn. I guess maybe not obviously because it is Raw, but Sami Zayn is wrestling on this Raw and he's the champ, so it makes sense. Sami's backstage talking to Cody and they're just kind of beefing, building up the main event. No one says anything really worth noting. But then Gunther jumps Cody and he attacks him and power bombs him through a table backstage. And then he takes it a step further and kicks Cody's head in a car door. Like, Cody is crawling into the car and he kicks the car door into Cody's head, kind of slamming it. And then, obviously, that causes Cody to bleed. And then they start, planting the seeds that the main event is going to be in question now that Cody got his head stomped in a car door and is bleeding, so it makes sense. Then the first real segment was a Seth Rollins promo. He starts off saying the same old things, that he's going to take back the title that he never lost, and then he goes at Roman saying that Roman isn't going to show up tonight because the check was not big enough, and people go at Roman for being a part-timer all the time, and I mean, Punk did it, now Seth is doing it, and Seth even acknowledges that he's done this before. But I just feel like it is still fair. Like, you are the champion of the flagship show, and you're not there every week. I mean, it is kind of ridiculous. He doesn't have to wrestle every week, but to not even show up, especially like a month out from SummerSlam, which is like the second biggest show of the year, and there's rumors that WWE wants SummerSlam to overtake WrestleMania at some point, so either the second to maybe even the first most important show of the year, and it's 4 weeks out, and your main flagship show champion is not showing up. I mean, I don't know. I get that he's a Roman, so he could kind of get away with it, and the crowd is still going to pop like crazy for him when he does show up, but I kind of agree with, like, don't let that slide, you know what I mean? Like, you could still bring it up in a promo, even if people have heard it before. I feel like it's still valid. Like, that's not going to get old. Like, obviously everyone would want Roman to be there every week, so I feel like it's fine. I just feel like it's a valid thing to complain about, to be honest. Then he starts talking about the common narrative of Roman being the chosen one. Ever since they started at the Shield, it was always, Roman being the one who Vince, but just the company, the system, wanted to be the guy. Apologies. There's a furnace in that closet right there, because I am in a basement. So if you hear that, I'm sorry. Hopefully it's a nice low little rumble, some white noise for you guys. But yeah, so he's saying even when Roman couldn't cut a promo, which is the common one that people say, but he says that Roman couldn't even wrestle at this point, and he was still the chosen one, which is not something that you hear very commonly. They mainly focus on the promo side of things. Then Seth is saying that that was his dream, was to basically get what Roman had, and seeing his dream be handed to someone that he didn't feel deserved it, caused some pettiness there, like when he ended the Shield and when he cashed in on Roman and spoiled his WrestleMania main event. He says that Roman once told Seth that Roman has worked 10 times less than him and made 10 times more, and that rubbed Seth the wrong way because he wasn't in it for the money. He says that for him the work was the reward, so he's just saying that he loves the business and Roman loves what the business gives him, right? So decent promo. There's a story now. The story is the chosen one who's in it for the money, and then the still very successful but the underdog who is just in it for the love of the game, right? That's what we're setting up for SummerSlam. At this point, LA Knight interrupts Seth, and then he kind of has a grievance with this match. He's saying that Seth, what did Seth do to earn this title match? He didn't win the King of the Ring. He didn't win any, number one contender match. He's just getting this match because they know each other, Seth and Roman, and so he's complaining about that. He also addresses when the Seth and Roman promo from last week, they were saying that they started the best generation of WWE, right? And LA Knight is saying that they are not the best generation. All that they have done is use numbers like Roman's bloodline and Seth's vision to put down superstars like LA Knight and keep them down. So, LA Knight is bringing up these concerns to Seth. Seth just tells him he can't focus on Knight right now because he has his world title feud, obviously. He does say that if he wins the title, then LA Knight can be the first one to challenge him for it, which probably will not happen. And even if it does, that's not even a good look for LA Knight because you don't want to be the first one challenging for a title generally throughout history. But we'll see. There's another, they go back to backstage and Gunther is beefing with Nick Aldis again. Yeah, so it seems like they're gonna have a match at some point. I don't know who Nick Aldis is. I must have missed. I have a pretty big gap in my time watching WWE, so I'm not sure who Nick Aldis is. I know he's a former wrestler, just from what Gunther is saying. So yeah, they're gonna have a match. Another career for Gunther to kill, I guess. But not super exciting to me. There's then a backstage interview with The Vision, because they have a tag team title rematch with the Street Profits. But Paul Heyman interrupts the interview. And he kind of goes down the line, he tells Braun, just even forgetting about getting speared through the barricade. He's upset that Braun did not beat Seth at Night of Champions. And then he goes to Theory and is like, Theory, you couldn't even beat Joe Hendry last week. So he tells them that they better come back with the titles or they should not come back to him at all. So they put some stakes on this match of Paul Heyman not leading the Vision anymore and potentially the Vision would break up. So now we get to the actual match. There is nothing really crazy or special about this match worth noting until the finish. So Logan, he slides Brass Knuckles into the ring, like very obviously, like in the ref's face. So the ref, kicks him out, which makes sense. But as he's walking off to the side, the ref is like handing the Brass Knuckles to like one of the, not the ring announcer, but that kind of in that area, someone from production in that area, right? But Logan had a second pair of Brass Knuckles that he then puts in the ring to give to, I don't remember which member of the Vision it was. So that was kind of his plan. So he has a second Brass Knuckles, but Angelo Dawkins actually gets the second Brass Knuckles, and he is like walking up to Theory. He's gonna hit the Theory with these Brass Knuckles. But before he can, Maxine Dupree comes into the ring and low blows Dawkins like China style. It's really what it looked like. She got down and like really laid it in there. Just reminded me of China because I've been rewatching Attitude Era. But yeah, so she gets the low blow because Logan didn't leave yet, so the ref is distracted by Logan, I believe is how that works. And then she gets the interference, and that's it. They get the pin, they get the 1, 2, 3, and the Vision actually do win back the tag team championships. Sorry, I hit the mic. Probably have to edit that one. Anyway, I was surprised that the Vision won this back because I figured once they lost to the Street Profits, they were gonna, honestly, I thought they would break up because they were taking a lot of L's. But yeah, so Street Profits got a very short run. Not sure what that was about. But Division are back, and this time with Maxine. And Maxine, in theory, actually like kiss after the match. Like she like jumps in his arms, and it's like, you know, they're very official, I guess. And she is going to be in the Vision now. It almost seemed like, obviously it could be getting worked. It almost seemed like they were dating, like in real life. Outside of kayfabe, I'm not sure. Like, it was definitely laying it on way more thick than like Liv and Dom, for example, as a kayfabe couple. Like Liv and Dom, at least since I've been watching, have not kissed each other, like on the mouth, definitely. So, yeah, maybe they're just, I don't know, maybe it's a work, but I'm almost like, are they dating? Because it seemed like a little more, like I'm not, like not intense, because it wasn't like, you know, crazy, but it seemed a little more, than what would have been necessary to get the point across, I guess is what I'm saying. But anyway, next segment. They're backstage again. Cody's getting examined by this doctor. He says he feels fine, but they send him to the hospital to get some tests before the doctor will clear him. Then the Vision meet back up with Paul Heyman. He says, you know, nice work, but it's just the first step. You know, he's not very impressed. And then he says, at least somebody was able to do something tonight. And then Theory's like kind of cheesing, and he's like, oh, like, yeah, thanks. And then Paul's like, I was talking about her, you know, referencing Maxine, because she was the one that got the final kind of shot to get the titles. Then the Vision drive off, and Otis and Tozawa walk out from behind the corner and just kind of look longingly at the car. So, yeah, pretty official that Maxine is done with them. Then we have Sol Ruca versus Raquel Rodriguez for the Women's Intercontinental Women's Intercontinental Championship. Sol goes for this move where she's outside on the apron right by the corner, and she like jumps over the rope to springboard off the bottom rope in the corner, if that makes any sense. And she botches it, her foot slips, but it's saved because she's not actually hitting a move here. Once she like regains her footing and does her jump off the rope, Raquel catches her, so she was gonna get countered anyway. So that makes it kind of okay, because it's like, oh, Raquel was able to counter because Sol was too slow. So it was a botch, obviously, but at least with how the match went in kayfabe, it's okay. It wasn't terrible. I also wanted to point out, or highlight, I guess, that move that Sol does, the crossbody, but she like spins a bunch of times before hitting the crossbody, like the little corkscrew crossbody, I guess you would call it. It just looks really cool. I've never seen anyone do that before, and I'm surprised, because it's actually like, not that it's not that hard, but it's like simple. Like you just spin an extra time before you do the crossbody. Like I'm sure it's been done before, but I've never seen it before, so it's kind of surprising considering it is like simple on paper. So midway through the match, Roxanne walks out, and originally I write in my notes, I'm thinking when Roxanne comes out that she's gonna somehow cost Raquel the title and create some beef within the Judgment Day, because Roxanne is kinda the odd woman out. She doesn't have any plans, like Liv has no plans for her in kayfabe, right? So I thought that this would be a spot where they further wedge Roxanne from the Judgment Day. But that is not how it ends up going down. Roxanne does distract the ref, but it actually works in Raquel's favor, because while Roxanne is distracting the ref, Soul goes for a soul snatcher, but Liv like grabs her foot. Dang, I hit the mic again. Okay, anyway. Liv like grabs her foot as she's putting her foot on the rope for the soul snatcher, and that allows kind of Raquel to hit this move. It's not a move I've seen her use before. It was kind of weird. So she's got her in. Sorry, hold on. Let me read exactly how this goes. She's got her on her shoulders, fireman carry position, AA position, right? She goes, it's kind of like a TKO, where she like spins them that way. But then, instead of like landing on their stomach, she landed on her back somehow, like she swung her this way, and then like Soul's leg swung this way, and then she slammed her kind of on her back. So it was a move that I'd never seen before. I'm not sure if she'll do it again, because I don't think the crowd reacted. And the commentators didn't really know what was going on either. So, I mean, points for creativity, but I don't know if it's very clear what that move is supposed to be. Anyway, but yeah, so she doesn't get the pin with that after the distraction. So then Io comes out, and she cleans up Roxanne and Liv. And then Raquel is, like, distracted with Io taking out her squad. And then Soul hits her with the Soul Snatcher for the 1, 2, 3 and retains the title. And I was really glad that Soul was able to hit her Soul Snatcher on the first try with absolutely no botches at all. It was a perfect Soul Snatcher. And she hit like the full thing. Like, obviously when she first got to the main roster and she was botching it a couple times, they kind of adjusted it to where in some of her matches they had her do a Soul Snatcher from a spot where she was already like on the corner ropes. So just like jumping from already being on the corner, like she's on the corner, like kind of elbow, like I don't know, does some sort of counter move to stun them, and then she's already right there to just do the front flip and do the Soul Snatcher. But for this one, it was the full thing, run across the ring corner to corner, time it 1 foot, and do the Soul Snatcher. And she didn't botch it, so I was very happy to see that. The next segment, Paul Heyman cutting a promo for Brock Lesnar, because Brock Lesnar is also not here. But that is very different. I'm not going to Google their ages right now, but obviously Brock Lesnar has got to be close in age to Cena, and Roman is only like 40 even. So a very different situation. And Brock has come back and left and come back and left. So very different situation for Roman, but Brock is not here. Paul Heyman just says the obvious stuff. He says Oba is going to get destroyed, and he should have never accepted the challenge from the Beast incarnate. So Oba has to interrupt this, obviously. Paul tells Oba that he says, in Paul's words, he proved that Brock was beatable at Mania, which obviously we knew that Brock was beatable, but okay. And then Paul says, in Italy, Brock proved that Oba was beatable because Oba hadn't lost a one-on-one on the main roster yet. So he's telling the story of at SummerSlam in the rubber match, who is going to come out with the aura, with the reputation of the unbeatable superstar on the roster today. He mentions Brock's history in Hell in a Cell, saying he beat The Undertaker in Hell in a Cell twice. He calls the cage the Brocktagon. The Brocktagon. That one didn't hit for me. I don't know if it hit for anybody else. I thought that was kind of a cringe line. I get what he's going with, because obviously UFC happens in a cage. So any Hell in a Cell, steel cage, anything like that is kind of Brock's domain. That's what he's saying, but Brocktagon did not hit. He's going to have to go back to the drawing board for that one, in my opinion. Oba says that Brock showing up after he had talked all this trash means that Oba got under his skin. forcing him to come to the show, to kind of respond, right? And he tells Paul that he is going to go into Minnesota, which is Brock's home state, and beat him in front of his wife and children, and to deliver that message to Brock. So, whenever you bring up the wife and children, you're going to get a pop from the crowd. It's just how it goes. So, decent promo. Nothing crazy. Paul Heyman did say the words Brock Lesnar like a million times, and it was kind of starting to get on my nerves. But anyway, yeah, nothing super crazy. No crazy good lines. Let's move on. Backstage interview with Sami Zayn. It's officially revealed that Cody is not going to be able to wrestle tonight. And Sami, he's playing his heel that's trying to be a good guy persona. So he's saying that it's terrible, but he has this grin, while he's doing it. So I thought that was really funny. Or not funny because I wasn't laughing, but I was like, that's good. It's good character right there. Good character work right there. So here the crowd starts chanting for CM Punk, and they do this a couple other times before the match. And I didn't know Punk was supposed to be on the show until I saw a spoiler on YouTube before I was actually able to watch it myself. Did people know beforehand that Punk was going to be there? Or were they just chanting because it's in Chicago? And, obviously Punk is, he's supposed to be at Summerslam, and it's getting close to Summerslam, and this is a Raw in Chicago, so they're just going to chant CM Punk when they kind of see this developing that Cody's out. So, maybe, but that's kind of a big leap, I feel like, for an entire crowd to make. But yeah, I was wondering to myself, did they know that he was there? Was it leaked? Because I had no idea before I saw, until the show ended and I saw the YouTube spoiler that Punk showed up. But they were so confidently chanting it, so honestly, I'm sure, in Gorilla, they didn't actually like that because it kind of spoiled it, I feel like. Because I'm sure there were people that weren't even thinking Punk, but in Chicago, they're always thinking Punk. And then, for it to actually end up being Punk, spoiler alert, I'm sure that kind of ruined the surprise for a couple people that were maybe thinking that hard about it. So Sami is like, it's weird for me to be defending the Undisputed Championship on Raw anyway, so let's wait and sort it out on SmackDown, this whole Cody situation. But Adam Pearce tells him that he promised a championship match, and he is going to make a match no matter what in the main event tonight. So basically saying, you're not getting out of your match, Sami. You're going to defend the title, even if it's not against Cody. Okay. We're hitting 30 minutes here. How much you got left? Okay, it's actually not that bad. Okay. So, this next match was a tag team match. It was Chad Gable and Rey Fenix against Ethan Page and Rusev. And I'm still not over the fact that they changed Ethan Page's song and took the vocal of the ego. Whispering is weird, but anyway, they took the ego part of his song out of his song, but he's still all ego Ethan Page. So how do you do that? Also, it sounded pretty nice. So, and it just sounds so empty. Now the song is just nothing. It's just random bass. So not a fan. Don't know why they touched it. They didn't touch. They changed Ulruka's song. which was fair, because her song was just generic Hawaii stuff, surfer stuff, which it still is, but it has a little more to it now. But like Fatal Influence didn't touch their song, and obviously Joe Hendry not going to touch his song. So why did they touch Ethan Page's song? Anyway, I also wrote in this bullet, so I've been watching the weekly shows for a couple months, but now that I'm taking notes on them, I kind of see more clearly the issues that people complain about all the time. Like, I wrote in my notes during this match, I feel like I can just skip the beginning of every match until after the first commercial break, since there is always a commercial break in every single match. It feels like the beginning of the match doesn't matter at all, because there's zero stakes, because you know that you're not even going to get close to the finish until a commercial happens and they do their suicide dive spot, or their moonsault spot, or whatever spot, jumping outside the ring to go to commercial. So, it's just kind of frustrating. It's getting frustrating when they do it every single match. It's like very formulaic, and it makes it not as fun. I don't know. The commentators, Graves and Michael Cole, are saying that Rusev has been better since he teamed up with Ethan, but there's just no evidence of that. He lost to Gable 2 weeks ago. He's won nothing. He beat up Rey Mysterio. Not even in a match. He beat up Rey Mysterio and ripped his mask off. That's his claim to fame. How has Rusev been better since teaming up with Ethan Page? That kind of bothered me, because they're just saying stuff, which is their job. They're gonna push, a big part of these narratives comes from the commentators, so that's just coming from top down. But there was literally zero evidence, so it kind of bothered me, as someone who is paying attention. There was a botch. Rey Fenix going for a tornado DDT, but he actually just straight up missed the rope. But it actually didn't even look that bad. I guess Ethan just kind of carried him and spun himself around. But yeah, it didn't look terrible, but he literally just completely whiffed the rope, so it was kind of funny looking. The finish of the match is Rey Fenix actually tapping to the accolade from Rusev, and then kind of all hell breaks loose. They start brawling, the 4 competitors, and then so Gable then also gets put in the accolade, so Joe Hendry comes out to kind of save him, but then Joe Hendry gets put in the accolade. So Rusev and Page, even with Joe Hendry coming out, still stand tall, and Rusev kind of hits everybody with his submission. And I also wrote, they only put Joe Hendry here because of the Intercontinental number 1 contender gauntlet match next week that Hendry is in. Before now, Hendry had zero beef with anyone in this match. There was no reason for him to go out and save Gable and Phoenix, and there was no reason for him to attack Rusev and Page, besides the fact that 2 of them are faces and 2 of them are heels. He hasn't had any interactions with them. All of his main roster stuff has been the Vision and Logan Paul, so him coming out here just was it was for nothing, just because he's in a match next week, so it was stupid. You might have, that would be if after Joe Hendry comes out, and let's say he starts beating up Rusev, then Dominic comes out and starts beating up Joe Hendry. That's basically the same thing. It's there's no reason for it, other than the fact that he's a face. So, anyway. Before the main event, there are a couple more backstage segments going on. So, there's an interview with Jimmy Uso that LA Knight interrupts, but then he gets attacked by Fatu, so just more of that storyline. Bayley has a promo video on Lyra, responding to Lyra's video package from last week. She says she's talking about the history that they have. She's saying that she met Lyra, when Lyra was waiting in line for hours to meet Bayley at a toy store, and then they talked about her up-and-coming wrestling career, which I just think that's pretty neat. I didn't know that. Bayley's pretty cool for that, to be honest. But yeah, so she's just cutting a friendship promo and says they're going to be face-to-face next week, and it's kind of like their last chance for Lyra to recoup this relationship, but obviously that's not going to happen. They're going to come face-to-face and they're going to beef. Anyway, Adam Pearce is on the phone. Cut to Adam Pearce. He's on the phone. He's trying to find someone to have this match with Sami Zayn. Nick Aldis comes up to him and he says that he found a replacement to take on Sami for Adam. You're welcome, basically. Which I don't know how he could even get that approved, considering he is on, probation or leave, whatever it was. So how he was able to get the match made with the mystery opponent, I'm not sure if that makes sense in kayfabe. Anyway, there's then another video promo, and it's JD on Danhausen, and I just couldn't take it seriously at all, and I can't tell if that's a problem or if that's just what happens when you have someone feuding with Danhausen and you have a Danhausen match and you make what's supposed to be a serious video promo, but it's about Danhausen. It's I just can't take it seriously. So yeah, I'm not sure. I don't think it's JD's fault, but he's after what happened, after what we did to your lab, and it just shows Danhausen mildly annoyed that his lab got messed up because Danhausen doesn't show a lot of emotion. So it was just very silly. Anyway, moving on. I'm surprised that for Saturday night's main event at MSG, they don't have better matches announced by now. Just because it's at MSG. Anyway. So we can finally get to the main event after 40 minutes. By the way, not that I don't care that the video is 40 minutes. In terms of the content, obviously longer ASMR videos kind of work better for their purpose of you trying to relax and fall to sleep to them or put them on in the background. But just for me right now, I am trying to get to bed. So that's why I'm mentioning the time. Anyway, Sami Zayn versus mystery opponent. That apparently the crowd knew exactly who it was going to be. And again, I don't know how they did that, or if they were just hoping for that. But anyway, the gate, to the arena door opens up. That's usually where the cars come in, but the gate opens up and it's just Punk standing there. So this creates a complication of how CM Punk was able to get this title match. So I guess the explanation would be that Cody was hurt and Punk is in the area because he's from Chicago, so he lives around the arena. But in his last match, he lost to Roman. And then after a couple months, his very next match from losing a title shot is then gaining another title shot. So, that doesn't really sit right. But again, I guess the explanation would be there's no one else around, but Gunther's right there. But anyway, let's just say the explanation is Cody's hurt. They needed someone. They're scrambling to find someone. And Punk is in the area and takes the call and then takes the match. So I guess that's kind of going to be the explanation. It was the right place, right time. Not they needed someone for the main event, right? And he's a main event level guy. It was weird. Not seeing Punk on TV for a couple months, and now he's just in there wrestling a match. He doesn't say any words. He walks straight from outside through backstage and does his entrance, and they have the match. He never grabs a mic ever. So it was just kind of jarring the fact that it's like, oh, Punk's back, and now it's just you're watching a Punk match. It's like, oh, I haven't seen this in a couple months. Like, what's going on? You know. It was some standard stuff, but it was a good match. It was a long match, but nothing super crazy happens. They're both running their offense, but it was fun to watch. And now towards the end, they got a little bit sloppy. Towards the end, there were some moves that didn't go exactly according to plan. Off the top of my head, Punk is going to bulldog Sami Zayn, and he is going to counter with the Blue Thunder Bomb, because obviously Punk is setting himself up perfectly for the Blue Thunder Bomb. But they don't time it right. I'm not sure who it's on. It's probably on a little bit of both of them. But so Punk doesn't jump for Sami at all. But Sami does the move anyway, which was kind of baller. It was kind of like impressive. Gained some aura there. He literally, like, Punk's feet are not on the ground, and Sami is able to lift him up and Blue Thunder Bomb him. It doesn't look as good. He doesn't get as much spin as the regular ones when they jump for him. But just the fact, because Sami is like sleeper build, he doesn't look that strong. So the fact that he was able to just lift Punk completely on his own and do the move was impressive. But yeah, so they got a little bit sloppy at the end. But I also think it was fine because the match was a long match, so I think it kind of it had the vibe. So I don't think anyone would be complaining that it was like botchy, because it wasn't like full on botches, but just like slight things looked a little bit off. But again, it was a long match, so I think that could just be, you could just play that up as part of the storytelling, right? And also Punk was just looking exhausted. I know people say that Punk can't really go anymore, but I disagree. I think, obviously, I'm sure he's very tired, but I do think he's playing it up, because his kind of thing right now from the Roman match was that he doesn't have a gas tank and he's old, right? So I think he's kind of playing up how tired he is for, like, just the character. I don't think he would be that shot wrestling the match that he wrestled. Okay, so the finish. Sorry. I feel like Sami got the short end of the stick. Now, obviously Sami did get the short end of the stick, because he lost the title, spoiler alert, after 9 days. But what I mean is, he hits 2 GTSs on CM Punk. He hits the go to sleep, the go to sleep, the go to sleep. I'm always trying to hit you guys with the go to sleep. That's what I'm doing for these videos. It's me using the go to sleep on you. But Sami hits 2 go to sleeps on Punk, and one of them was like immediately, the knee into a Blue Thunder Bomb combo, and Punk kicks out. But then Punk hits 1 Helluva Kick and 1 GTS, and he gets the pin. So, obviously it's tough that Sami lost, but it also felt like Sami hit Punk with more, and Punk kicked out, and then Punk got like 1 opportunity, and Sami got pinned. It's kind of like the Trick Williams matches, but in reverse. Or no, maybe not in reverse, but it's kind of like the Trick Williams thing, where like they hit Trick Williams with a lot of stuff, and then he is always kicking out, but if he hits you with 1 knee, 1 trick shot, it's over. So that's kind of what it felt like. Obviously Sami lost the title, but it also felt like he kind of wasn't booked that strong, even within the match. So, the aftermath of this, I am surprised that I was not surprised that Sami is not going to take the title into Summerslam. But I actually was surprised that he lost it after 9 days. I thought he was going to retain tonight and then lose it a little obviously you don't have a ton of time before SummerSlam, but I still thought it was too quick to have him drop it. Because it's almost like, why even have him win it? Like, you're literally just having him win it for that one major pop in Saudi, and then you just do the same thing for Punk in Chicago. But yeah, so now I guess Punk has to hold it to SummerSlam. You can't move the title that many times before a big show, so I think that was it. Punk's going to be the undisputed champion going to SummerSlam, which was weird. Seeing Punk with that belt looked weird to me, but it's cool. Again, what did Punk do to get a title shot? I hope that somebody brings this up on SmackDown, like obviously in kayfabe, like Gunther or something. Be like, what did he do to deserve that? I'm sure it'll come up, but they better use that because I think it needs to be addressed. But other than that, so is Punk going to SmackDown? I guess he has to, right? Is Sammy gonna get a rematch? Is Cody gonna get a rematch? Gunther will obviously crash out if he doesn't get a title shot like he did this week where he ruined the main event. So you have those three guys and Punk. So what do? Sammy obviously was champ and lost it, so he just needs a rematch. This is how it works. Cody never got his rematch from losing it to Sammy. So you have two people who are like very much in need of a match. And then Gunther, who will probably, I would imagine, get punished and not get a match considering he messed with the main event. So Gunther will probably, that'll be his excuse to go off with all this because he's not going to get a match considering he injured Cody. But now you have Punk, Cody, and Sammy. Are you going to do a triple threat? I don't think so. I think the end game is Punk, Cody, because those are the biggest names for SummerSlam. So what's going to happen with Sammy? Maybe they just tell him to wait. Maybe they're just like, well, Cody lost it, and then you lost it, so Cody still needs his rematch from before, so he goes first. Maybe they could just be as simple as that. But yeah, so it's looking like Cody Punk. That would be where my money is right now. SummerSlam. Main event night 1. Yeah. Like I said, I am going on a trip. I will not have my computer with me, so I will not be able to record. My goal was to record some videos to schedule to be uploaded while I'm away. I'll definitely do at least one, but it's tough because it is very late and I do want to go to bed. But I feel like I need at least one because I'm gone from Wednesday until Monday. So I feel like that's a little too much time to not put out a video. So currently I think I'm gonna just power through and record one video to upload, scheduled automatically in that time frame. And then when I come back on Monday, I'll record another one. So definitely video Monday night. But yeah, during the week, I'm not sure yet. Thank you guys so much for watching. Let me know if you think that Sammy got kind of screwed over. Let me know if you think that Punk with the undisputed title looks strange. Thank you guys so much for watching and spending your time with me. Have a good night.